Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Addis Dialogue, a show where we're going to delve into the Ethiopian coffee industry, which has garnered a huge amount of revenues over the past 2024-2025 Ethiopian fiscal year. In this regard, we're going to have a range of important topics to discuss, and I'm joined by Dr. Adugna Debela, the Director General of Ethiopian Coffee and Tea Authority. I'm your host, Shivara Alako. Do stay with us. Dr. Adugna, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us, out of your busy schedule, of course.
Thank you. Thank you so much indeed.
So let's first off talk about Ethiopia's coffee export performance over the past Ethiopian fiscal year, specifically spanning the year 2024 and 2025. In this regard, how did the export activities perform and what was the revenue generated?
Thank you so much indeed. Ethiopia as a coffee producing country has not yet exploited this untapped resource because we are the countries that gave this green gold to the world, but we're not still utilizing that resource. That's mainly because the policy issues that we had in the previous time was not creating a very enabling environment for the exporters, suppliers, and also all the actors in the value chain. Since we revised this policy, a tremendous change has been observed in our coffee value chain, even not only in export, but also in the production, productivity, and also the quality. The performance that we got last year is very instrumental because, in 2023-24, we exported about 300,000 metric tons of coffee and generated $1.43 billion. That was a record high price ever in Ethiopian coffee export history. But this year, we're planning to export about 400,000 plus in order to generate $2 billion USD from the coffee export. So the target is quite ambitious, but if you consider the last 7 months, we've exported more than 223,000 metric tons of coffee and generated $1 billion so far. This, if you consider last year and the year before, $1 billion was reached in the 10th month of our exports. But this time we got in 7 months. So we have at least 3 months further. We went at least 3 months ahead of getting 1 billion. So in the coming 5 months, we're planning to generate another $1 billion because our peak export time is starting from February and going to June.
Wow. Congratulations on this amazing achievement. Yeah. So what were some of, apart from the policy change, what were some of the major factors contributing to the exceeding coffee export targets, achieving this amazing increase in volume and also in revenues?
If you remember in our previous dialogue, I told you that we made a significant change in stamping our old coffee trees. So some 3 years back, more than 450,000 hectares of land have been totally renovated and stamped to get the coffee into production with new energy. Those coffee trees which were rejuvenated 3-4 years back, now they entered into the coffee production system with new energy and high productivity. So our production is now surpassed 1 million metric tons of coffee. So that's also another important point in order to increase the volume of coffee that we export to international market. In addition to that, we worked on closely with the regions, working on how to improve the quality of coffee that we export to international market. Because you compete in the international market not only by volume, but also by the quality of coffee that we provide to the international market. So in this case, in our case, the coffees that we exported in these last 2 years were mainly specialty coffee, which fetch higher prices as compared to the commercial values. These are also some of the important points. And another important point that probably contributed to this increase in production and the volume of the coffee export is the expansion of market niche in the international market. Previously, we export coffee to not more than 30 countries, but now to 66 countries. So these are other opportunities that we got or that we made in the last 2 years.
Wow, amazing. So how has the growth of coffee exports impacted foreign exchange earnings and also the overall economic stability of the country? And how has it contributed in some way to this?
In last year, the share of the coffee in Ethiopia's export earning is about 38%. And this time is growing much more than that. The economic reforms that have been made by the government also contributed a lot in increasing the volume of the coffees that we export to the international market, because the coffee export is much more profitable than selling coffee here in the country, the market. So the contraband and the illegal trades were to some extent been tackled by the macroeconomic reform which have been made in the last July.
What are some of the measures that you are taking in order to maintain profitability and also this competitiveness in the global coffee market?
The first and most important one is to keep your reputation and by providing a very good quality coffee. Second, we need to also work on how to improve the export coffee by adding values like value addition. And this is also something that the African continent is now taking into account. And in our G25 Dar es Salaam declaration, probably you may have heard that the Africa countries, they're exporting 12% of the international market and importing about 12% of the market for it. So we've decided, or in that declaration, it's clearly indicated that Africa can undertake a transaction by using the African continent free trade areas. This is also another opportunity for us, rather than exporting elsewhere in the world. If we export to the African countries and African continents, the profitability and also the volume of coffees that we export increases. At the same time, the foreign currencies that we got from coffee will be doubled.
Wow, interesting. Now that you have wrapped up the production and export amount of coffee to the global market, does it have, in some way, put pressure on you, be it in your activities, in your plants, things like that?
400,000 metric ton is the first and the largest target that we had ever. And we need to export about 40,000 metric tons every month. But the coffee is produced once in a year, and the export trend along the months is not uniform, and the trend is something like a concave shape. So particularly in October, November, and December, these are the slack period for our coffee export. So we are very much struggling to really increase the volume of coffees that we export to the international market. But starting from February till June, it will be the peak period. We can export more than 40,000 per month. So I hope we will achieve our own targets.
Yes, let's hope so. So talking about Ethiopian coffee, Dr. Adugna, what makes Ethiopia's coffee unique in terms of its flavor profile, characteristics, things like that? What makes it unique or different from other countries, coffee-producing countries, and why should coffee-consuming countries prefer Ethiopian coffee?
The Ethiopian coffee is quite renowned in the international market by its high-quality profile. The most important contributor and the factors behind this are the climates that we have, the soil conditions that we have, and also our own management and the way how we grow coffee under shade. They all contribute to improve the quality of coffee that we produce. Since we grow more than 85–90% of coffee is grown under shade, and they take a longer time to mature and develop the most important quality profile. This is also one of the main points to contribute for the quality improvement. That's why Ethiopian coffee is widely known in the international market, and they use this Ethiopian coffee as a spice to improve the quality of other countries' coffee. So the soil conditions that we have, the different varieties that we are producing, the way, the management system and the way how we are actually producing under shade, they all contribute to the improvement of and this unique quality of the coffee profiles that we have.
Now that you have this huge and ambitious plan of generating a huge amount of money, do you kind of fear that there will be some kind of issues that will stand in the way? What challenges do you see in the process?
In the coffee sector, what was a big challenge and the bottleneck was the contraband and the illegal trade. this have been to some extent been rectified by the macroeconomic reform made so far in our country. And the other most important challenge that we have is Ethiopia is consuming more than 50% of the coffee that we produce. And unlike coffee produced in Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda, they export 99% of the coffee that they produce. So there is a very stiff competition between the international market and the local consumption in Ethiopia. So this is also one of the challenges, but it's a comparative advantage in case when the price is going down, Ethiopia consumes its own coffee, and then will not going to dispatch or dispose the coffees that we produce in the international market. So the illegal trade, the contraband, and also the local consumption trend is to some extent will have some impact on our target.
I hope that you will, kind of devise some means as a way out of that. As we wrap up our discussion, Dr. Adugna, what's the message that you want to convey to our audience?
Ethiopia heavily relies on coffee export. So this time our coffee exports is increasing hugely, and the price of international markets are now in favor of Ethiopia's coffee producer. So let's work together and to really leverage on this opportunity to maximize the coffee exports that we have and generate more than $2 billion here. That we are actually had as a plan. I'm sure that we're going to generate even $2.2 and $2.3 billion if we really work on in order to at least capture the price opportunities that we have this moment.
Dr. Adugna Debela, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us.
Thank you so much, Lydia.
Well, dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of today's program. Many thanks to you as well for having been with us so far. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's a goodbye from me, Shifa Rawlak.